campers. Spike.
Chris.
Spike and Chris show. Welcome back.
It's his birthday.
This is an abbreviated version.
It's his birthday.
An abbreviated version of the Spike and Chris show. Yes, I turn
He's
year older and none the wiser.
That's for sure.
The big 4-9. Like, I would say like San Francisco, but let's face it, San Francisco hasn't had a football team in a long time. Have they? 49ers mean. But anyway. Yep, turning 49er.
49.
Oh, and America's leading source of gas, apparently. Anyway. So this is going to be an abbreviated one. We're going to do the one ep because we need to get out of here. It's 4th of July weekend. We're recording this Sunday, July 5th. So, and I've still got episodes from last week to put out. I only put out 2, and I put out the podcast. So all the audio stuff, everything we recorded last weekend is on the podcast. It's out there in the wild. You can find it. Look for the Spike and Chris show because I finally got around to changing the name of it. And it took me, 3 weeks to update the Facebook page. But anyway. So anyway, it has been a holiday weekend. It's been a very holiday weekend. It's been a stupid holiday weekend. By God, 2020 won't stop it. Stop it, 2020. We have finally hit the halfway point, though. So that's a very, very good thing.
Yeah, it's almost over, folks. We're this far away.
The murder hornets are gone away. They fizzled out, but the Sahara taking a dump on a good chunk of the United States, and then
that's a new one.
And then we got flooding everywhere and all this other stuff going on, and I'm just tired of it. 2020, you need to hurry up and get it over with and just move on, for God's sake. Yeah. Okay, we'll see how many more disasters we have here before the end of the year, because quite frankly, very little surprises me anymore.
If we even make it to, literally make it to next year.
We'll make it to 2021. There'll be a 2021. We'll get there. Like I was saying a little while ago, I want to kick you down some Baba Wawa's butts, but welcome to 2020. Oh, shut up and get out of here. Anyway. So, I have done well, no, I take that back. I have been keeping an eye on the news and stuff, but it's been a slow week. Disney Plus is going to put Hamilton on their service. Woohoo! So I'll talk about Alexander Hamilton here in a little bit, so that you guys have.
Did you watch it?
I have not watched it. I have no desire to watch it. I know who Alexander Hamilton is. Nobody else knew who Alexander Hamilton was until the musical hit and became successful. Which again is what happens when you actually take something you're passionate about and try to do something with it. Sometimes you actually strike some gold with it. But anyhow, you've got a few newsy things. We're just going to do one short episode.
I like how he doesn't like musicals.
I hate
musicals. But I swear, dude, you need to check out Star Kid.
I would like to see Blues Brothers again.
Star Kid is hilarious. They got tons of them. They did this one on Batman, and it was hilarious because Alfred got fired a long time ago, and he keeps on coming back in different disguises.
Alfred would do that. He's resourceful. So. Anyway.
It's hilarious.
So Star Kid, I'm guessing, is a YouTube thing.
They're a group that does plays, and they do it on everything, and it is a musical, but it's one of those Mel Brooks type of humor. It's really hilarious.
Is it hilarious? Is it really?
Yes, it is.
Now, if I check out an episode of this and it is not hilarious, I'm going to. I'm going to hit you with my birthday presents from you.
If you check this out and you do not laugh, I will hit myself in the crotch.
No, I'm going to do some damage to you. Anyway, this one finally got me a birthday present. And what's my birthday, Chris?
Pots and Pans.
My birthday is Pots and Pans, 1971, everyone.
And white.
He finally gave in. Well, I am. White is the driven slush right here. But anyway.
Said wipes, not wipes.
So that's why he finally got me He got me my OXO Good Grips non-stick skillet set because I am a culinary aficionado and I want a good set of non-stick pans for once.
I get to admit, cooks good food.
Yeah, you didn't complain too much about the mac and cheese or the peach cobbler with the homemade vanilla ice cream and stuff. Anyway,
of course I did.
I made this stuff for my brother. So anyway, and Carolina honey mustard ribs. So yeah,
It's good stuff.
he guilts us into food. Anyway, so you've got stuff from the week.
Yeah,
before
but
I
not
start
much.
ranting about
Not
Hamilton.
much.
There's not much. It's been a slow week.
But
go ahead.
first off, I just want to take a moment and discuss about our local theater, 10th Frame Cinema,
Those poor guys.
who has more classic movies on the list for you to go watch in theaters. Take your family and the kids.
Yes, Raiders of the Lost Ark is out.
Yes, Raiders.
If you trust me, you have never seen that in the theater. Okay, 50% of you watching this have never seen this in a theater. You need to go see it.
Yes.
It is now. Remember, we've talked before. Jurassic Park. There's a world of difference between seeing it on a TV and seeing it on a theatrical screen. Same thing with Jaws. The beloved and I saw Jaws last weekend on the big screen for the first time ever. Honestly, and it is a world of difference. Although we do need to discuss something. These theatrical re-releases.
Yeah.
We are at such ultra high definition now on these big screens with the big digital projectors and stuff. You're going to have to get used to this if you get into it, okay? Because with the Rona going around, nobody wants to release any new theatrical things right now until this stuff goes away. But you will see flaws in these theatrical releases. For example, in Jurassic Park, I noticed glitches in the CGI. Because nowadays in 2020, we're so used to CGI, we're worried about deep fake, where you cannot tell the difference between reality and CGI anymore.
Oh, yeah.
In Jurassic Park, that was what, 1995, I'm thinking, 94, 95, somewhere around there. That big difference between that CGI and what we have today, you will notice the glitches because it's not as high definition as what we have now. Jaws was released in 1975, I believe, and you can see glitches. You'll see there was one scene where Bruce the shark is eating the boat. You see all three of them trying on different stages of the boat. You see Quint and the police chief and the oceanographer. They're on 3 levels in the boat. Maybe Bruce wasn't eating it yet, but regardless. You see all 3 of them, and it's painfully out of focus. I mean, you actually sit there and you want to scream focus, but it's not the projectionist's fault. It was a flaw in the original master, and back then nobody noticed it because the resolution was lower.
Yeah.
It's just like now. We film in 1080p,
Yeah.
which is like light years beyond traditional 480p, which is what old-fashioned TV was. So if you were watching old-fashioned TV on an old-fashioned TV programs on an old-fashioned TV, you wouldn't know what you don't know.
Sure.
Okay. Nowadays, you watch it on a 1080p, and like I said, we're at 1080p. That is not considered high definition anymore. I mean, it's still high definition. Anything 720 and above is high definition. But technically, they want us to be filming in 1920p is what they want. That's not happening because nobody in this area of the country has high-speed internet enough that you can get that up sometime this week. But it's... We do 1080p, and I can get that up, and I can upload that in about 15 minutes. So that's what I do.
I think I already told you this, but there's this hilarious thing I saw on YouTube where it's called Millennials React.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was watching Jurassic Park, the first Jurassic Park movie for the first time. And he was going on about, like, I didn't know dinosaurs eat humans. But the thing that really got me was in Jurassic Park, the helicopter scene when they first come to the island and the helicopter's landing with the dock and all them is landing. He's like, look at the ripples in the water from where the helicopter, is that real or is that has to be CG? And I'm like, this guy is a moron. And
No,
he
it's
gets
just,
more views than what we do.
the thing is, this millennial who saw this, everything is CGI. It is now cheaper to CGI the helicopter and put avatars of the actors in it and have it land on a fake CGI pad in the middle of a fake CGI lake. It's cheaper and easier to do that than to find a helicopter, find the helicopter pilot, risk the actors' lives in it, and then find somebody who's willing to provide the liability insurance to actually land on this set that you have to build from scratch now.
It's actually easier to find a dirt area that has water just streaming down, a little pad, and to take a remote controlled helicopter to land down and have the camera in the grass to film the whole thing to make it look real. That's what I would do, honestly.
Another thing too, and I don't know how we're getting off onto this.
I know,
That's
I know,
fine. We got nothing planned anyway. It has become so easy with drones and high definition video. It is so easy to get these spectacular nature shots and stuff. And I mean, this is stuff the BBC back in the 80s and 90s were busting their butts and dropping millions of dollars so that they could get these spectacular shots of valleys and waterfalls and nature in its full splendor and stuff. BBC was notorious for getting this really high quality footage. You can get that now with a $200 drone and a $100 high definition camera attached to it. You can get these things, and it's become so commonplace now. YouTubers are doing this.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing to do it now.
It's amazing.
But that's just how far we have come technologically, and millennials are having to adjust to that. Millennials have been raised on CGI from birth. They don't know what's real and what's not anymore. And that's the deep fake problem, which we probably need to have an in-depth discussion sometime.
Yeah, that's going to cause some issues.
Not today. Not today. But anyway.
Anyway, so back on track. The movie theater
yes.
is showing some old classic movies, so I'm going to tell you what's playing right now that you guys need to go watch. So, we have Star Wars Force Awakens.
That's episode 7, no.
I didn't think that that's actually what they was going to do. I'm sure that they'll probably go and get the others sometime, but it's out there.
The Fandom Menace coalition on YouTube right now is reporting that Disney and George Lucas are about this close to erasing the sequels. And putting it off as an alternate reality and just giving up and trying again. Yes, please, because those were a nice, wet, hot mess. That's like a dumpster fire of sci-fi. As bad as the prequels were, they were light years ahead of those sequels.
I am just glad, though, that the fans of the Star Wars.
Star Trek has its own thing. I need to bring that up in a minute.
Star Wars trilogy. They do say, and I got to admit, I love Force Awakens. It was, even though, it's a copy of, what was it, Empire Strikes Back? Return of the Jedi? One of those. Anyway, but still, it was something new and brought back something fantastic. I admit, the last two had great images, but they kind of just pooped all over the main characters and stuff like that. So, but anyway, that's
what have I been saying all along? Storytelling. Effective storytelling is more than just a pretty picture. A pretty picture is a painting, okay? a good story requires character development. It requires plot development. It requires effort that people in Hollywood and, quite frankly, far too many creators are unwilling to invest.
Yeah.
If you will not invest the amount of time and effort in it, stop grouching about people reacting to your lack of effort. Okay? What galls me about the sequels, and I gotta admit, I actually liked the sequels first time I saw it. I'll never watch them again, but I didn't mind them so much. I didn't feel like it was a complete waste of time. But even then, I was picking and choosing my spots. With if what gets me about the Star Wars sequels is the fact that they put very little time and effort into actually developing the characters, and then when people called them out on it because they were making a point, some kind of social point or something, when they got called out on it, then they got upset and decided to go to war with the fans instead of doing what every thinking creator has ever done: take the feedback from the fans and say, okay, do they have a point, and second, if so, how do I get to where they're calling me out on?
Mm.
Okay, so if your characters make people long for Jar Jar Binks, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Out of all three movies, I can think of two characters that people really embraced. Okay? BB-8, the little
Soccer ball thing.
the little soccer ball droid, BB-8, and those little tiny things that were hanging out on Luke Skywalker's cliff.
Oh,
Whatever those things were
Yeah.
supposed to be. But those are the only two things that I think people actually cared about in all three movies. And Chewbacca, because it's Chewbacca. Everybody else, what a waste of time and space and effort. But anyway, moving on. What else you got? So they're going to be showing Star Wars Episode 7.
Yes.
What else are they showing?
Goonies.
I still consider that the most overrated film of the 80s. But
You know what? I'm not going to get mad at you. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. Despicable Me.
which was actually a little bit better than I thought it would be. Of course, considering my opinion of Despicable Me, the first one, right?
Yeah.
Before I saw it, my opinion was like somewhere around down there on the floor. It had a really low hurdle to have to get over.
The Minions, I'm surprised the Minions actually made me like them. Took a while, but I was like, actually,
They grow on you like a wart.
Like
a
a grow
wart.
on you. So the kids will love going to go and watch Despicable Me again at the box office. So do that. Of course, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Of course. Ghostbusters. Not the last one we had.
The original Ghostbusters.
The original
from 84.
Ghostbusters.
Again, you're gonna have to get used to that. There is kind of a steep curve because they did, what was it, a 35th anniversary release last year,
Yeah.
which came out as part of the Phantom Events things at the theaters, and you can tell the resolution was way low. So, needless to say, Sony has not put any money into digitally remastering the original Ghostbusters.
Yeah, but, I mean, again, it's also kind of okay. Because they did hit points with the dogs and the library ghost that spooked you at the beginning. And you were going like, oh, hell.
Again, that world of difference between TV and movie.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Also, of course, Jaws. You mentioned Jaws.
Jaws continues.
Yes.
You said that was what, one of the top 2 rated?
Yes, last weekend, the number 1 movies at the box office was the original Jurassic Park movie, and number 2 was Jaws. I don't know what it is this weekend.
We'll find out soon enough. Weekend ain't over yet.
No. And, of course, the live-action version of Jungle Book. With
That's one of those where I can't say anything because the original movie was not that good either.
No, but I did love this. What they did with Jon Favreau directed this one,
And you can tell that
I got to admit, it was really good. I was impressed.
John Favreau's turning into one of those really impressive storytellers.
Oh, yeah.
That he is in the camp with Spielberg. He's working his way up to the camp of like Spielberg, not Lucas. Lucas was a producer more than a director, but Spielberg and Robert Zemeckis and I can't remember who directed Die Hard, but he directed a bunch too. But anyway, that kind of storytelling director who's able to take a script, and then enhance it. Kind of like Peter Jackson did.
Oh.
Peter Jackson, of course, went wandering way off the reservation there by the time he finished with Lord of the Rings. But Jon Favreau's going to go down in history as one of those Directors Club guys his name alone will sell the movie. Just like Spielberg, for a long time, if you saw Spielberg's name attached to the movie, you saw the movie because you were a Spielberg fan. It didn't matter who was in it. You wanted to see the film. Robert Zemeckis didn't quite hit that level, but he did so many creative and original ideas that people started seeking him out. He got his own little fan base going.
Yes. So, now my next story on all this leads into Peter Jackson, actually. Of course, New Zealand has turned into a big, because Peter Jackson has turned into a big Hollywood of its own, okay? They shot all the Lord of the Rings there, all the Hobbit movies, and people just fell in love with the way New Zealand looks, that now everybody wants to shoot there. Well, apparently New Zealand has now opened everything back up to finish filming the Lord of the Rings TV series.
The one on Amazon?
Yes. And the one that really excites me, Cowboy Bebop.
I gotta admit, if they could pull that off.
I
can't remember what it was that I mentioned on YouTube, or not on YouTube, it was on Twitter last week. It was some kind of project. I said, this is either going to be so cool or so stupid. It's going to be nowhere in between. But this is a live movie adaptation of Cowboy Bebop is either going to be incredibly stupid. The odds are it's going to be incredibly stupid.
I hope.
But if you can get the right person involved who actually has a vision, it's like, hey, let's screw with everybody and try this. It could be so cool. It depends. Do they, like we were mentioning Jon Favreau earlier?
Yeah.
You need a Jon Favreau type, one who knows action, who knows the memes and the themes and the tropes and stuff that are involved, and can play with people, because Cowboy Bebop played with all those things way back in the day as an anime.
Well, apparently it is Peter Jackson's studio that is behind all this, and that makes me more excited because I thought this was, when I heard that they were doing a Cowboy Bebop movie or mini series, and I was like, okay, I'm really intrigued, but I have worries. But now that I know that it's being done in New Zealand, I'm actually kind of like, oh, that means Peter Jackson Studios involved, and that means, ooh, this might be bigger than what I think it's going to be. So I'm excited. And not to mention, they said starting to film again, resume filming. I'm just like, that means it's, you know, it is in the works. So yes. It's no talk. It's actually being done.
I would never have put Peter Jackson involved with Cowboy Bebop, but to each their own.
Well, I was trying to stop and look at things, but apparently, like, I think Peter Jackson's the only one that has his own studio of special effects and stuff like that in New Zealand.
Yeah.
There is no other.
Because that's where he did Lord of the Rings and got Warner to pay for most of it. So why not use? But you know, speaking
I'm excited about that one.
before you wander on, Animerica related. We were talking about Cowboy Bebop. There is a huge stink going on right now between the anime producers in Japan and their American distributors. Apparently, a lot of the American distributors are worried about how people are being portrayed, especially female characters being portrayed in anime.
Oh, that's it? Oh, okay.
That's a part of it, and then there's racial parts, and of course all these other little things, and all the tweaks and all the censorship and stuff that goes into it. The Funimationization of anime movies, because Funimation is notorious for screwing with it. But apparently a number of leading anime creators in Japan have actually gone to the Japanese government asking for their involvement in this, because remember, Japan is not America. America, the government doesn't tend to get involved in these things unless it's like the Department of Defense or the Department of Interior or something like that for production purposes, for settings and back scenes and stuff. Japan will actually get in there and start passing laws dictating how you can handle anime in other countries, or else you don't get to import it to your country. So we'll see what happens there.
I hope it turns out great, because I mean, are we just talking about like America going like, ooh, we want to take their idea and do an American version of it, or are we talking about like if I want to watch Cowboy Bebop, am I allowed to anymore if they decide to make more new episodes and I won't be able to watch it no more?
It comes down to you make an episode of Cowboy Bebop, and it's got a woman with large breasts, and they decide they need to adjust that for content. Okay. Then the anime producer starts having a problem, because you're starting to change how the characters look, how they interact, and stuff like that. So we're talking about like the whole cell level things.
Well, see now, okay, so America does have this tendency of taking art and ideas from Japan and then trying to do it their own way, and then it messes everything up. They did it with Ghost in the Shell. Like, nobody wanted Scarlett Johansson to play the main character. A lot of people said, why not just get Asian people to play people that live in Asia in...
Here's the question. Which Asian people? Which Asian people? Because I will tell you right now, the biggest market in Asia is China. China does not want Japanese actors. They don't. Because the Chinese still remember World War II. Forget the communist part, okay? Forget the communist part. Way back in World War II, Japan was invading mainland China. That's kind of what allowed the commies to take over there. And were enslaving thousands of Chinese women as sex slaves for their soldiers. And they, trust me, the Chinese people never forget, may occasionally forgive, but usually they will never forget. And then there's also a number of folks in South Korea, which is also one of the major Asian markets, who don't trust the Japanese either, because they remember World War II as well. So there's part of your problem that American studios have, and that's actually where a lot of this anime problem is coming from. Not just America's puritanical streak, but you've got China's, let's face it, racism involved.
I mean, see, now, I guess that's one of the big problems that everybody else has, that I had. Because I didn't know anything about that. Of course, I never actually stopped and thought about that. So I'm like, okay, that actually makes more sense.
You need to learn your history, or you're doomed to repeat it.
Donald Trump don't trust China. China is asshole.